Elbaf. The most awaited arc, which took over 1,000 chapters of foreshadowing and build-up, is finally here with the release of chapter 1126, and I believe it is destined to be one of the, if not the, most important arc in all of One Piece so far. There are 3 big reasons for this. 1. It's a climax for multiple character arcs. 2. The hotspot for story revelations. And lastly, I'll reveal the 3rd and most important point near the end of the video. Trust me, it gets crazy. Anyways, let's start with the first point. We can all agree that Elbaf is meant to be Usopp's arc, his time to shine. While this is a good thing for Usopp's character, it still somewhat scares me because such expectations often end in disappointment. For example, Wano was supposed to be Zoro's arc and Egghead was supposed to be Frankie's arc, but neither truly happened. They had some good moments, but they weren't the main focus like Sanji was in Whole Cake Island. Still, Usopp's connection with Elbaf is a whole different thing. Elbaf is essentially the manifestation of his dream ever since he met Dory and Broggy back in the Little Garden arc of the Alabasta saga. Dory and Broggy are for Usopp what Shanks is for Luffy. They are his idols. Usopp wishes to be a brave warrior of the sea exactly like them. And frankly speaking, Usopp has pretty much been a bum since Dressrosa. He really needs to shine in his character moments this time around. So I have some predictions for Usopp in this arc. The first is a David versus Goliath type battle where Usopp fights an opposing giant or something similar. This brings me to my second prediction. Usopp would be equal to a One Piece Thor and henceforth fight against the prince of all giants, Loki. But why and how will he fight Loki? This brings me to my third prediction about his power-ups. We know that Usopp's lies are often used as foreshadowing for future events, and he just happened to lie about having Conqueror's Haki in Wano when in reality it was Big Mommy's Conqueror's Haki. Coincidence? I think not. And the second power-up I think he is gonna get is an insane one. I think he is gonna get the authority over the last missing ancient weapon, Uranus. And this reason finally transitions into my fourth prediction that Loki and Usopp would fight with each other in a Goliath vs David type of situation, probably because of the competition over the authority of Uranus, because everyone wants a taste of Uranus. Now before you doubt my theories about Uranus, let me make myself clear. Uranus is a deity from Greek mythology, and in its canon, Uranus fathered many children. In fact, entire races of creatures come from him. Uranus pulled out Titans, Cyclops, Hecatoncheires, Arrhenius Furies, Melee, and most importantly, giants. See where I'm getting at? Uranus is giant in its connection with giants. And considering the fact that Usopp's secondary weapon has always been a hammer that deceives people into thinking it weighs a ton when in reality it's as light as a balloon, we could call his hammer gimmick a lie, and by extension, it will also be foreshadowing the future of Usopp getting something like Thor's hammer Mjolnir, which no one other than him can lift or use. Also, did I tell you what Uranus' epithet is? He is known as the god of the sky and the heavens. That is pretty close to the god of thunder and storms, Thor. So what if this mythical hammer is actually the ancient weapon Uranus? What if Uranus excretes thick slobs of squirming lightning, and that alongside Conqueror's Haki is Usopp's power-up? With a power-up this big, he could maybe even compete against the top tiers of the verse. After Usopp, Robin also might finally have her long-awaited reunion with Saul, and in the meantime, Lilith might upgrade the Straw Hats with some technology, especially Frankie. But the way chapter 1126 ended, we might be getting an isekai arc for Nami and a few other Straw Hats before any of this happens. I'll explain this isekai arc theory near the end. Moving on to our second point about the story revelation. The Big Mom pirates might have some significance in the story because of the abysmal relationship Big Mom has had with the giants, and also because of Blackbeard pirates stealing her daughter Charlotte Pudding. We also might soon see another Yonko versus Yonko battle. It could be Blackbeard versus Shanks or even Shanks versus Luffy. It's very unlikely for a Blackbeard versus Luffy fight at this point of the story, as I believe that fight is being reserved for the final saga. Getting back to the topic, we will probably also get more Nika lore, as it's implied that giants pray to the sun god. We might also get some more revelations about the D-Clan and Void Century, now that we know that most of Vegapunk's consciousness has survived. That also reminds me that the amalgamation of the broken Vegapunks stole the Labostratum on the clouds, and we also saw a glimpse of Witheria, so that might come into play somehow, especially with the giant world tree that reaches the heavens, and Nami's weather staff, which might get an upgrade. Also, I wish the entire crew will finally learn at least basic Haki, considering Elbaf is called the Land of Warriors and waves the flag of the infamous Haki Man. Getting back to Shanks, his true motives might be revealed in Elbaf, as it's his own domain. Could he be a rat manipulating Luffy into becoming a pawn for the government? Or maybe he needs Luffy's devil fruit awakening to unravel the One Piece somehow. With Shanks' suspected father, kid named Garlingfin Fingerland becoming a part of the Gorosei replacing Saint Saturn, the Shanks is a twist villain theory gains more and more weight. Whatever the case may be, he is very sus. It's possible he isn't a villain and just has an evil twin theory or something, but that's pretty unlikely. He might also have some ties to the man marked by flames, essentially becoming the last obstacle or even a stepping stone for Luffy and others towards the final race to the One Piece. His relationship with Mihawk might also suggest Zoro versus Mihawk finally happening in Elbaf, but that's a bit unlikely. Regardless, the way Shanks dealt with Barto and useless D-Mid, it's pretty clear that he loves Luffy, but is brutal enough to not back down from fighting him or anyone else. A true emperor and a true conqueror. With all this aside, let's finally get to the third and most important point, which is to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Nah, I'm just kidding, but please do that to support our channel and get more of such content in the future. Leaving that behind, I think the most important reveals of this arc are definitely going to be related to two things practically none of you are going to remember: the legendary Spear of Giants of Elbaf and the Great Serpent soaked in blood. As you can see, these are the two things mentioned in the climax panel of the Little Garden arc in chapter 129. This led to the theory of many believing the Red Line, which is the one and only continent on the One Piece planet, might be an Ouroboros snake called Jormungandr, the world serpent wrapped around the world eating its own tail. But wait, this gets even crazier. Jormungandr was banished and punished to encircle the world while eating its own tail by none other than Odin, the father of Loki and Thor. It all flawlessly ties into the Norse mythology references in Elbaf we discussed so far. Hold on, you thought that was all? No. In Norse mythology, it is prophesied that one of the triggers for an event called Ragnarok, also known as the apocalypse or the end of the world, is the world serpent, letting go of his tail and ending the cycle of life while also simultaneously ending the reign of gods by flooding the world. Let me repeat the last three words if you didn't realize the importance of them. Flooding the world. Anyone who has been reading the last few chapters of One Piece would know how important these words are. With Vegapunk's speech to the world about the entire world getting flooded, this theory has been getting more and more praise as all the pieces of the puzzle start falling into place. There is a lot more nuance to it that I simply can't explain here, so I'll put their links in the description or the pinned comment.
As a reward for still watching the video,
I have a special fact preserved for you. When you reverse the spelling of Elbaf, it spells fable, meaning a lie or something that is unreal. This has an obvious connection to Usopp the liar, but this also reinforces my theory about Elbaf being a weird type of isekai, where it's half illusory and half real, like a lucid dream or a hallucination. This theory is really being put to the test in the last chapter, as giants give the Straw Hats some hallucinogenic alcohol, and after drinking it, Nami is seen to be transported into an alternate Lego world with a new attire while getting instructed to do stuff by an unknown voice. Not just that, but in chapter 11 and 27 we see multiple instances of reality not following logic, starting with Nami calling out for Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and even Usopp's help to beat a cat monster, and coincidentally the same exact people show up. Now you may think this isn't a coincidence because these were the same people who went missing in chapter 11:26, but you would be wrong because Chopper also went missing but didn't come back yet because Nami didn't call out to him. And after Usopp shows up, he thinks everything is an illusion, so he goes to fight the cat and still gets hit. So the cat is at least partly real, but then it starts turning into a giant lion for no reason, meaning there is something else going on as well. After that, the monster trio shows up, but the illogical stuff doesn't end there because Luffy calls out his Gear 4 to attack, but uses Gear 3 instead. And after finishing the cat lion along with Zoro and Sanji, he suddenly gets a sword on his back. He then talks about eating a rabbit. This is relevant because we earlier saw some giants talking about a rabbit ear god, proving that what Luffy ate was real, but then suddenly the sword on his back turns into an axe out of nowhere, following the trend of being half real and half illusory, almost like a fable. Anyways, that was it for the video. Like the video if you liked the video, comment the word fable to confuse everyone who didn't make it here, and subscribe for more. Peace.